Welcome to this webinar on building a resilient alarm management system, tips from an expert. So I already mentioned a couple of times the name of my colleague Inge Laureyn. She is a manager of the business unit Human-Centric Manufacturing, and topics like alarm management and high performance HMI are offered by Inge and her team. So Inge is well placed to present this topic of alarm management, since she has been active for many years in this domain, both as a customer, because she was working in chemical companies, and also as a supplier within PA Solutions / IPCOS. So she has been working in alarm management in many types of industries, like chemicals, pharma, food, energy, power, even tank terminals, both continuous and batch processing plants, brownfield and greenfields, and also within the alarm management atmosphere. She has delivered with her team alarm management projects ranging from high-level consultancy, so guiding companies into their first steps towards alarm management, through detailed design and full implementations of alarm management systems. So that makes that she's the right person to present this webinar of today. And now I'm going to shut up and hand the floor to Inge. So Inge, please go ahead. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Christian, for this kind introduction, and welcome to all participants of this webinar. And happy to see that much interest is shown. Christian already touched it, but I would like to frame it a little bit further. Why IPCOS offers services on alarm management and the related consultancy. Increased digitalization in control rooms, that's a fact. Advanced applications entering a control room bring, of course, convenience and efficiency, but it also raises important considerations on human-centric aspects. The word multitasking, it's an expression we use a lot, but in fact our physical brain is not able to do so. Humans have only limited capability when it comes to stimuli entering our environment. So when all these enhanced technologies are introduced into a control room, and they are there to, or they are meant to enhance or even extend human capabilities, we oftentimes see that these human capabilities are actually narrowed down. And this brings us to the topic of situational awareness. This is a concept that focuses on how an operator can be supported by the systems surrounding him instead of being distracted by them. And alarm management, we believe, is one of the enhancers for increased situational awareness, amongst others like high performance HMI and control room design. But today, alarm management is on the agenda. Situational awareness is a nice but broad topic, so we leave that one behind. So the goal of today is actually presenting you answers to the two following questions. Alarm management has been in the industrial ether for many, many years. It's well documented in literature and standards. And you can ask yourself, why is that? Why has there been so many interests in the topic in the past, and why is there still interest, a lot of interest in the topic today? We have, many companies have taken initiatives in the past, many of them with a lot of success. Others failed or got stuck. And also this you can question, why is that? Why do alarm management initiatives also fail? And how can this be turned around? And it's my goal to present answers on these questions in this webinar. So let's first focus on what drives industry to start alarm management initiatives. There are many drivers that can be identified, and let's start with the one on legal operations. and external audit. In Europe, there is something like a Seveso directive, which contains legislation on the control and hazards on the control of hazards related to involving dangerous substances. The US counterpart of Seveso regulation is the OSHA regulation, and both these regulations state actually the same when it comes to alarm management. They say adopt and implement procedures and instructions. No more, no less. And yeah, these, sorry for that. And we see what we notice today is that external auditors focus much more on this specific item of alarm management during their OSHA or Seveso inspection rounds. So this is the reason why I think 40% of our customers is driven, actually 40% of our customers is driven by this type of driver. A second driver for alarm management is the business impact. Good alarm management can lead to reduced maintenance costs. No discussion about that. But poor alarm management is considered as one of the leading causes of unplanned shutdowns, contributing to a huge amount of lost production per year. And okay, Wikipedia, for example, talks about more than 20 billion of lost production per year. And I truly believe these numbers are in range. But what does that mean to you? What does it mean to your company? Calculating for the return on investment of an alarm management initiative, for example, it's not an easy one. So maybe doing calculations in relation to unplanned shutdowns and the economic impact of that one could be a nice angle to, let's say, motivate or challenge your management to get some budget available to start an initiative. So just do the exercise, do the math and check or calculate, or no, just check how many unplanned shutdowns you on an average experience per year, or what the economic impact of a downtime decrease of 30 to 40% could mean for you. Another angle could be if you have an APC installed, for example, what would the economic impact be if due to shutdown, the APC benefit would also be killed. So for sure, business impact is a driver. A third driver is ergonomics. Due to the big volumes and the rate at which alarms are announced, operators are oftentimes, they don't have a choice than to avoid alarms. Even acknowledging alarms without really understanding what's going on, and as a result, not being able to act on abnormal situations causes, of course, stress and nuisance. Put on top of that, things like reduced staffing, aging workforce, and retirement of experienced people will even worsen this case. So people who stay in the control room, for them, the pressure will only go up. And an additional topic is what we already said in the beginning. Increased digitalization means an increase of systems entering the control room. So also increased amount of notifications that need to reach the operator. So another one is the driver related to health, safety, and environment. Let it be very clear that a prerequisite for alarm management or starting an initiative in alarm management is having an intrinsically safe process design. So the safety instrumented system is actually a mandated requirement for most of the processing plants, and this should cover for the major or the impact of or the major health, safety, and environmental impact incidents. So operational management and alarm management and operator action are actually an additional layer of protection. And when you miss them, you could, of course, create a gap in your risk analysis. But be well aware that no type of alarm management will replace the supervision of a competent operator, but you should see alarm management only as a supporting platform. A fifth driver, and maybe a less obvious one, but I would think one with an increasing importance, is the one or the driver to standardization and consistency in industry. Specifically in greenfields, we see an increased importance of this driver, and also in case of control system migrations. Also for regulated industries like pharma, this driver plays a prominent role. And last but not least, it seems one has gone from my slide deck, is the data centralization. I can mention it like this. On top of the classic process performance parameters that companies or industries display and dashboard towards their operators and management and so on, we get also an increased requests to add alarm management performance metrics to dashboard as well. So this could, or we see that it is at least a driver for some of our customers to start initiatives in alarm management. So it's clear different angles towards alarm management can be observed. And yeah, my personal experience with the customers we serve is that legal operations and external audit is really jumping out as a driver. We see external audits, the frequency at least, and the intense focus on alarm management increase. We expect it only to go up. So yeah, you'd better be prepared. Before start talking or explaining how you should start on alarm management, I first would like to share some situations or initiatives we experienced from close by that actually have gone wrong. These are real life examples. Let's start with the first one. So it's not a single case, but in many cases we get requests from customers who say, we can extract a top 10 or a top 50 from our DCS system or via our data historian. We can analyze these alarm data. We succeeded in cleaning up high numbers of alarms. We could move in the meanwhile from a reactive state to a healthy, stable state in our alarm system. But we are not able to stay at that optimum. How can we hold on to that healthy state? Please help us. If we have a closer look at that time, and we don't even have to look that close, we see that in that case, if bad actor analysis is the only way how this company approaches alarm management, that there are in fact no set rules, no philosophy. These decisions are often made based on gut feelings. The changes that are implemented in the system are in many times not documented or formally managed. And during bad actor analysis, it's also a very ad hoc decisions without focus on things like redundant alarming and consequential alarms. These just don't reach the radar or don't come inside with the result that these types of alarms just stay in. A second example where we have seen things gone bad is when companies try to start alarm rationalization without having, sometimes even without having a corporate philosophy, but specifically when they don't have site-specific guidance on alarm management. It's so yeah, the companies that take such initiatives do believe that doing rationalization without these documents can work, but in practice we see it just doesn't. And yeah, why is that? Having only a corporate philosophy available, means that you get lost in discussions on site-specific topics, and that you fully get lost during rationalization discussions. Not having a philosophy also oftentimes means that there is lack of ownership, because roles and responsibilities are not assigned. It also results in a lack of knowledge, which makes discussions always too complicated. Not having a philosophy or a deeper knowledge on alarm management means that in these cases, the system terminology, so the terminology used in a DCS for related to alarming, is mixed up with terminology used in alarm management, causing a lot of trouble actually, and getting stuck in discussion. So not our advice to start alarm management by only doing alarm rationalization. And a third example is a question we actually get a lot is, hi, we have an off-the-shelf alarm management software tool available. This one can do the job. We would like to acquire one, but we don't know which one to choose. Could you please advise us in this matter? It's a real life example, a request that passes by quite a lot. And most of the tools available off the shelf are perfectly able to analyze the health of your system, of course, and some of them are even very practical and guide you in a very efficient way through alarm identification, rationalization, and documentation. So these tools really do what they need to do, but they will never do the job for you. So getting these tools is perfectly okay, but you have to choose the correct timing for that. So only having a tool makes oftentimes that you lack a deeper knowledge on the alarm management lifecycle, and meaning that, for example, this tool calculates KPIs for you, but if you do not reach the set target, what to do then? So these tools are your perfect partner in monitoring, but they won't help you in a consistent way to improve. So a few examples, they for sure bring quick wins, but our experience is that they will not lead to a sustainable alarm management system. So what to do then? The answer is actually very simple. You need to put up a system. You need to develop a system. Apply a holistic view is the only way to success. As stated in the beginning of this webinar, the need for alarm management will most probably increase. So when you decide to get started, you'd better start on solid ground. I don't want to dive too much into details and literature, but it's It's necessary to mention, yeah, prominent literature, of course, related to alarm management, being the EMUA guideline, which is actually a very descriptive document, which defines configuration rules. Sorry for that. And on the other hand, you have the standard, the ISA 80.2, which is the US standard, and the European counterparts IEC 62682. These, there is difference between the two types. Guidelines are very high in application. So technical details, technical development, then you need to have a closer look to the guideline. But these guidelines are low in authority. Standards, however, are high in authority, meaning that when governments want to install new regulations, they will refer to standards. They will never or almost never refer to guidelines. ISA, what's so important for the standards, ISA 18.2 introduced the life cycle in alarm management, which is globally recognized. And we as IPCOS are able to actually manage or handle each stage of this life cycle. It's okay, let's move on. So this life cycle, yeah, it still looks it looks nice, it looks efficient, it looks yeah, it's really understandable what it says. But how do you bring this life cycle now to practice? The standard describes 3 entrance points for the alarm management life cycle, being the philosophy, monitoring and assessment, and audit. Let's start with the philosophy as an entrance point. How can you use the development of a philosophy to actually implement or install a full alarm management lifecycle? It's clear that for greenfields, for example, there's no way around it. If you want to start in alarm management, yeah, you always need to pass the stage of a philosophy because you actually start from a clean sheet in your design as well, and of course on paper. For brownfields, the approach is a little bit different. If you have a well-installed system, reviewing philosophies would not really make sense. But what we notice is that in many cases in brownfields, there is no philosophy available or only a corporate one. And with this corporate one, we experienced that this one alone will not do the job. So let's now have a look at how an alarm philosophy, in many cases looks like. So most of our tasks or the requests we get on reviewing alarm philosophies or the philosophies we get in are in most of these cases corporate ones. So you can see this is many cases a very extensive document, a big bundle of text, a lot of topics to discuss. And if you really have a close look, you see it's way around that. Besides requirements, and the standard also lists a whole set of recommendations. You have a little bit more of freedom with these recommendations, but still don't forget that these standards are the result of deep and long discussions performed by committees of experts So these recommendations, they are not in there without a reason. So don't make the mistake to skip them or to go over them too quickly. Just let these recommendations inspire you for further pragmatic approach. Something I would like to mention in this in here is a headliner that appeared in Forbes magazine on innovation, which states, think big, start small, learn fast. And this is actually the best advice I could give you when you start developing a philosophy. Thinking big means keep the alarm management life cycle in the back of your head, and maybe not in the back of your head, just keep it right in front of you. Start small, meaning don't start with a full-blown document of an alarm philosophy. Focus on these chapters that really make sense to you and that help you to move on quickly. And also bring already some things into practice from which you can learn fast, and you, let's say, feedback cycles and adaptations in your former developed philosophy, you can mature your philosophy in this way. So when I say focus on these chapters that make you to go or to move forward in the easiest way, yeah, let me explain that a little bit more in detail. The chapters on roles and responsibilities and training are actually, to my opinion, the most important ones. Here you create or you assign roles to people, you develop or define responsibilities, you create awareness, commitment, and full awareness as well. In combination with training, you actually bring the topic of alarm management to the level where it should be, so that there is awareness, that people know that things are upcoming and what this means for them. Secondly, I would advise to focus on the topics that relate to alarm identification and rationalization. Set up already a pilot project, think about the document quality you need to run these rationalization sessions. Think about how you would develop or configure your master alarm database. Think about planning, how could we implement already our pilot, and learn every time from what you just did. As I just said, adapt your philosophy based on these lessons learned, and let your philosophy mature in this way. And then, yeah, and another topic, and this is something we and my team experienced already a few times, is have enough attention to how alarms are announced on the HMI. So what do I mean with that? The standard focuses fully on alarms, but has less attention for the types of notifications that are not an alarm. I will show some visuals later on which make these things more clear for you. But actually, when you cut alarms, because they don't apply to the definition of an alarm, they should actually get another label. And giving to some types of notifications another label, and also showing them or sharing them to with the operator via the HMI, can create some kind of FOMO, so the fear of missing out. We've seen that already a few times, and it has led to quite difficult discussions with operators, which lowers their motivation and their acceptance for the topic as well. So it's really, really important to discuss in front what you're going to do with annunciation of alarms and other types of notifications through the HMI. The next example will make it more clear. So here you have just a simple setup with a vessel, some level monitoring on it, block valves on the inlet and outlet, a pump, a control valve. And let's state that for a certain reason, the flow drops in this system and reaches the lower flow limits. A nicely developed HMI would then show an object, should show in the alarm overview or summary this alarm with an alarm description. An operator, if he's lucky, has an help function which guides him through actions he should take. So, okay, this system now says, your flow dropped, we reached a low limit. Please, Mr. Operator or Mrs. Operator, check the functionality of your pump, of your control valve, and maybe also check if the bottom valve of your vessel is fully open. So the control operator calls the field operator, he goes out, he does the checks. But in the meanwhile, this level keeps on, the flow keeps low, level keeps on increasing and reaches the high level. Rationalization in this case has shown this should be a priority 1 alarm. Same drill, operator can check which actions to take. In this case, an additional action, please, operator, check the inlet valves. And yeah, if he's not fast enough, you see also the LSH does the final, brings actually or prevents overfilling and brings the installation to safe state. And if you look at this example, the two alarms here are in line with what an alarm definition states. But in many cases now we see that the activation of a level switch high, for example, is also alarmed. And if you just compare it with the definition, it's clear that an LSH should not get the label of an alarm. But what should it be then? It could be an alert, it could be a message. These are things you really need to define, and that's what I mean with these other types of notifications. And it also means that you have to visualize them in a different manner than you do for alarms. And in this way, you show the operator that no, the information is not lost. You should not be afraid to miss things out, but they will be shown in a different way to you. Of course, you need to check if your system allows all these different ways of display. So yeah, bringing a life cycle to practice, a short summary on what I just said. Don't ever lose the holistic approach. The life cycle is the backbone, is the center. Build a philosophy that is pragmatic, that reflects your daily reality. Dose also your efforts. Don't go for the full-blown document because you will get stuck, you will get demotivated, get actually experience it's some kind of training on the job. So build experience and then mature your philosophy. And then the last thing we just talked about, don't forget about alarm annunciation and the HMI. The second entrance point to alarm management is monitoring and assessment. This is, actually this monitoring is an evaluation of the stages, the previous stages in the life cycle. So on design, the quality of the design, the implementation and the maintenance. And this is all nice, but the example or the use case shared with you in the early beginning on a bad actor analysis shows that monitoring is a nice entrance point if you're already on track, if you already know what alarm management is all about. But if you're not on track, if you do not have decent detailed, decent design of alarms, or for example, not a decent flow on maintenance covered, then monitoring will not help you at all. Just some tips and tricks on monitoring and KPI calculations. Things we always advise to our customers is also use this pragmatic approach when you calculate alarm performance metrics. The KPIs defined in the standard are really solid. It's a solid base where you should start from, but let nothing get in your way to be also innovative in this part. You can easily add value via the definition of alternative KPIs. And something you also really need to keep in mind is that the targets set in the standard are really, really strict. Don't let these targets demotivate you. You're responsible for your own targets, and we can only advise to do that following a phased plan. You should not reach the final goal at once, just like Rome was not built in one day. And then the last entry point is audit. As also already mentioned before, this audit can be an internal audit, but we're actually focusing here on the external audits, which could be done by Seveso or OSHA institutes. We see that these external audits increase. And for example, and that's not that recent, but we had insights in the typical questions that pop up nowadays during external auditing. And as you can see, things as is there a procedure in place, and does this procedure covers changes in alarm management? Also questions on priority and so on, and the list is long. I only picked out 3 of them. It means that the inspection goes really in depth, and we believe that this will increase even more. So we can only we are not sure if all of our if all industries are already ready to handle these types of questions. So again, 40% of our customers knock on our door because after an external audit, because they ended up with an extensive list on to-dos or actions to take on alarm management. So this is more or less it. So I would like to summarize with this, some things you can take away. So it's clear that there is still a high need for alarm management. The multiple drivers described show that one. If you want to install a sustainable alarm management, start with building a system, but don't start in a fragmented approach. For example, just by doing bad actor analysis. Think big, so the holistic part. Start small, learn fast. Don't forget that one. And also always keep in mind that a standard brings you the theory, it tells you what to do, but it doesn't tell you how to do it. So just be bold, be pragmatic, keep things simple and manageable. It's all doable in alarm management. Focus also on what you specifically need on your side and adapt to the local culture. And indeed start small and focus on the key chapters that makes you to keep motivation and move on fast.
Okay, many thanks, Inge, for the presentation. So just to remind you that if you have any questions, please ask them through the Q&A tab there. We already have a couple of them. So I will walk over them one by one. Perhaps we have not enough time to cover all of them, but yeah, let's see. Good. So the first question. First, I see here, will the slides be shared? Yes, of course. So we will generate a PDF and send it to everybody who subscribed. No worries. Same thing is we are going. So this is webinar is recorded. So we are going to send you also the link where you can have a look again at the webinar or even share it with your colleagues. Yeah. Good. Okay, good. First question, Inge, how big is the effort required from the customer when IPCOS implements an alarm management system? What do you expect from the customer to do or to provide to you?
Let me be very clear on that one, that building an alarm management system is something we do in very close cooperation with the customer. So we need, of course, all the experience and help and knowledge on a process on the side of the industry, of the company. So yes, the involvement and the effort that needs to be taken on company side is, in the beginning at least, high. For example, building an alarm philosophy needs expertise around the table in process engineering, in general management, maintenance, also health and safety, and so on and so on. You don't need to be there around the table all the time or all together, so we manage to keep things separate, and we focus also on efficiently planning people's time. But be well aware that, of course, your need is, your help is needed. Concerning rationalization, for example, it also takes some effort to kick off, but we have many examples where we rationalized with our customers and finally only had operators around the table, which was immediately creating commitment and awareness as well. So yeah, it's manageable, but it takes time, an effort in time, and of course a well planned scheduling of meetings, of course.
Okay. And then another question here. We already have an alarm philosophy document, so the customer already has one. So how much time is needed to rationalize a couple of tags? And they said, as an example, use, for instance, 1,000 tags. So you have a document, and now you want to rationalize 1,000-ish tags. How much time would that need?
Okay, that's a question we get a lot. Rationalization rate is something that's really people focus on it because people think it can help them to predict the efforts that's needed, and of course also the budget that's needed. Let me be clear on that one. If you say we have a philosophy, yeah, of course, then I would always ask, can I review it? Can I have a look at it? Is it corporate? Is it site specific? That's really, this really make a difference in the rationalization rate. But also a lot depends on how complex your process is. Is it complex? Is it simple? Is there a lot of parallels in installation, so things you can copy? So all this complexity has an impact on the rationalization rate. It's an exercise, this calculation, each time, again and again. Numbers circulate that you could easily rationalize 100 to 200 alarm tags. And then we're not talking about instruments, but alarm tags a day, so on an 8-hour basis. But when you have been in rationalization, you'll see or you experience that this is over the top. But anyhow, we have examples where we start off slow and then slowly but gradually this rationalization rate increases. To give you an idea, if you want to do quick calculations, keep like 30 to 40 tags an hour as an average in mind.
Wow, but still high.
It's still high, but
okay.
that means that you always go through a phase where you don't reach 10 even or 8.
The startup.
And then you reach parts of the process where you can have a lot of copy paste, which then for one session you're at 150 or so. That's perfectly possible, but on average 30 to 40 an hour is something you could use as a guidance.
Okay, good. One more here. How fast will the result of such an alarm management system become visible or noticeable?
That's also easy and not easy. It all depends on what your installation or your process allows to set up a pilot. So as I mentioned during the webinar, if you have an alarm philosophy in place and you have, let's say, a smaller plant that you can use as a pilot, and where the system also allows to do the implementation, where also the production planning allows you to do the configuration in the system, then you of course can move on very quickly. But we see in continuous processes or on sites where we are in for alarm management on several plants, that implementation is most of the time really planned after rationalization has been finished. So combining and setting up an agile execution plan is in these cases very difficult. But we have another example for a tank terminal, for example, a plant or a site with 20-30 identical tanks, all equipped with the same type of control loops and instrumentation. So a high level of copy-paste possible. It's not that I promote copy-paste. You should always do that in with your eyes wide open. But there you see that we had actually a throughput time developing philosophy, a site-specific one, doing the rationalization, about 7,000 alarm tags I'm talking about. And after 7 to 8 months, we were ready with rationalization, and implementation could start. So normally we hand over, or in many cases we hand over the job when it comes to implementation is often done by the local engineers. So it all depends on how quickly they implement, and then normally we return some time additionally to check if implementation went well and if there need to be some adjustments. So it all depends on complexity, on how and if your process type allows it to implement to implement in a consequential way.
Good. The aim is to finish the webinar in 1 hour, so we still have time for 2 small questions. There are more, but don't be afraid. We're going to write down all the questions. We know your email address where you registered, so we can answer the questions by email, so don't worry. So 2 more final questions here. How to build a fail-safe system with alarm management integration?
That's a good one. I mentioned HSE as a driver already, so I think it's you should keep things separated, and that's where discussions during rationalization always get stuck as well. People say, but this is a safety alarm, and oftentimes we have discussions. Yeah, but what is it? Your safety alarm? Is it because it gets a certain ranking through the risk analysis? Is it because it comes from your safety PLC? How do you handle that one? So first of all, you need to set your terminology right. But what I can say about it is that in many cases where we see that an alarm comes from a safety PLC, it just gets the highest priority. That's what we see the most frequently happening, but it doesn't mean that you should do it like that. It all depends on what culture you have on site, on how you look at your safety PLC, how you handle it, how high the degree of instrumented safety is on your site, and so on and so on. We have experience with that. We have a well-developed big team available as well on safety related items or safety PLCs and the integrations of systems, safety integrated systems. So we know how to correlate these, but be aware or just take into account alarm management is there to support. It's a supporting platform in safety. And if you need an alarm to prevent a major incident, yeah, then your plant is not well designed. It's what I said. Intrinsically, safe design is actually a prerequisite for alarm management.
Okay, good. And then the last one, before we close, does IPCOS have any alarm management products, or perhaps resell any of the available products in the market, specifically metrics and reporting platforms?
We do not, at IPCOS, we do not have products, or we have tools, of course, tools that we use to provide reports for our customers. So we have a database that helps us to document rationalization. We have alarm data analysis tools that helps us to generate reports on the KPIs, but they are not brought as a product onto the market. We are fully capable of advising if you would think of acquiring a tool to guide you in that process. We step into this story as a vendor independent supplier. So as an answer to your question, we don't have products put in the market.
We are technology independent, which means that you don't sell any specific ones, because then you are not technology independent.
Indeed.
Good. Okay, exactly 6 o'clock in the evening in Leuven, Belgium. So Inge, many thanks for the presentation and answering all the questions. Still a couple of questions remain, but as I said, don't worry, we will answer them via email. If you have more questions beyond what you already have asked, please do not hesitate to send us an email, whether to the email address where you got the invitation from, or info@ipcos.com, so info@ipcos.com. If you want to have a one-on-one meeting with Inge or one of her specialists, team members, please do not hesitate to request that as well through this email address. As I said, we're going to send you the PDF and the link to the recording. More detailed webinars on alarm management will be organized, I think.
Yes.
So around specific topics now. So more details about one of the topics that you mentioned. I think.
White papers as well.
Oh, voilà. Okay, good. So much more to come. So please hang in and tune in when you see these things passing by. If you have received the invitation to this webinar via somebody else who forwarded an email and you want to be invited directly, also please leave your message on our website or send us an email. Yeah. So for now, many thanks for attending the webinar. Really much appreciated. We wish you a nice evening or remainder of the day, depending on where you are in the world. And for now, bye-bye. Okay.
Thank you. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.